Hello, everybody. My name is Emilia. I'm going to tell you about my father, about how he was forced to pretend to be someone just to see me and my little brother. But that wasn't all. The worst family secret came out after the divorce, something that changed our lives forever. Theo, my little brother, and I came home from extra music classes. As we got closer to the house, we realized something was going on because suitcases and bags were lying around in the yard, and the door and windows were all wide open. Mom and Dad were arguing in a way that all the neighbors could hear. I grabbed Theo's hand tighter, and we sped toward the door. What we saw there made us stagger. Mom was lying on the floor as we walked in, and she yelled, "Please don't! Not in front of the kids!" And Dad turned around. He saw us standing there terrified. Theo immediately ran up to his father and said, "Dad, what are you doing?" I couldn't move from my seat. One thing was clear to me. Dad had messed up badly. He didn't say anything. Tears welled up from his eyes. He turned around and quickly packed his things and just left. After the incident, Mom just said that she was terribly upset and that Dad was someone he had never been. She accused him of tyranny, said she had only lived with him all her life for Theo and me. So of course, we took her side. Theo and I were very angry with my father, but he didn't show up for a while. Meanwhile, Mom had to get a divorce and also work 2 more jobs. Since there was no one to babysit us, Mom said she would look for a babysitter for me and my baby brother. 1, 2, 3. All were not satisfied because no one could find a normal approach. And that day, Mom had to leave and had one last nanny interview waiting for her. Theo and I came home after school and noticed a car in the front yard with a sign on it. It was strange. I hadn't seen that car before. We went into the house and my mom frighteningly asked, "Are you here already?" An obscure uncle came out from the kitchen. "Who is that?" "That's my lawyer, Mr. Lawyer?" "Do I know you?" "Your last name is on the car. It's not hard to guess." "You're very observant for your age." "And you're like Captain Obvious." "Excuse me?" "Emilia, come on. He's helping me sort out some divorce stuff. I hired a nanny, good, experienced, and she knew Theo was allergic to nuts as soon as she saw the antihistamine. Apparently, she's very experienced. Call me if you need anything. I'll be back tonight." Mom and Laura ran out, and our babysitter came out of the bathroom, scary as our neighbor. We said hello, and she introduced herself as Grace. Theo didn't care. He went straight to his room, and the nanny was finishing dinner. I sat on the couch, supposedly watching TV, while I watched her. I was familiar with the gestures, the way she was stirring the soup and sitting on the couch. Yep, now sitting behind the newspaper will grab a glass. Oh, crap. The babysitter came up to me and I, ahead of her, said, "Emilia, hands." She was stunned. I walked over and abruptly took off my wig. "Daddy? What the hell?" "Shh. Be quiet. Theo will hear." "Do you mind if I know?" "Give me the wig. I'll explain everything." Dad told us that he really wanted to see us. He watched us on the way to school, and he secretly paid our house bills and our school fees so that Mom wouldn't know from whom. He swore he loved us and wanted to be there for us. I reminded him of what he had done to Mom and how abusive he had been. And Dad said, "Let me guess. Then she told you that I supposedly beat her all her life?" From what Dad said, it was very different. Very different. And that the reason she kicked him out of the house wasn't that he was so bad at all. But then what was it? I asked. Dad was about to tell me, but then Theo came out, and we pretended he was just our nanny. Dad was great at pretending. Theo was interested in him, and he ate at home for the first time in a long time. When my brother went to his room, I asked Daddy again what he wanted to tell me. Dad exhaled. "You see, your mom's condition is quite understandable, but really," he didn't have time to finish his sentence again as Laura came into the house. "Where's Mom?" But the lawyer didn't even hear my question. He came up to us and asked if everything was okay. "Why? What's wrong? Where's Mom?" "Mom had some things to do, and she's coming over later. Mom told me to keep an eye on you, so I'll be here for a while, okay?" I glanced furtively at my dad, who was having trouble breathing. But we have a nanny, so you can go home. It's okay. Let him stay if he wants. I'll make a bed for him in the living room. Emilia, go to your room. I'll take care of everything. I went to my room and stood by the window and started to call my mom, but her phone was not available. It was strange. She was usually always on the phone. Maybe something had happened to her. Maybe Laura did something to her. The thought kept bugging me, so I looked out the window to check his car. The sign on it was gone, and there was a different license plate, though the car was the same. What the hell is that? He had a folder in the passenger compartment with some pictures of my dad. What? Father's criminal record? Suspected of murder? God, no, it can't be. I just had time to take a picture of the paperwork and heard the sound of a broken dish and rushed into the house. Laura was lying on the floor, and my dad was standing over him, with no wig. The lawyer yelled for me to call the police, but I had already managed to hit the call button on the wall. I yelled at my dad to let the lawyer go. Theo ran out of the room, and I grabbed him and held him to me. Dad yelled that he didn't do anything, that Laura had set him up, but I didn't even want to hear anything. The police arrived a few seconds later, and Dad was just taken away. The lawyer hugged us and said he suspected the nanny wasn't clean, and that's why he hid Mom in a safe place, and she would be here soon. Your father is a real maniac. He's done things you wouldn't even dream of. That's when our mother arrived. She was so scared. She said that the night my father tried to kill her, she'd found out about his past and threatened to take away his parental rights, and he got mad and tried to attack her, but we came. It was hard for me to believe. I couldn't imagine my father being capable of violence. Theo was in shock for a long time. And then there was the trial. In court, of course, we took the mother's side. My father was convicted. All he said during the trial was that he wasn't guilty of anything. He swore he loved me and Theo, but we were scared to look at him. My mother stripped him of all his rights, and we started a new life. We moved to another town to forget about the past. And after a while, Mama and Theo started seeing each other. Theo and I didn't mind, especially since the lawyer helped us a lot, and he made sure it didn't take too long. They took all my father's assets in favor of our family, his real estate, his car, some savings, and the business he had. And things seemed to be getting better. Mom was finally happy. Theo had calmed down, but I had a strange feeling. I couldn't get over what my father had said about what he hadn't said. What did he want to tell me? Why didn't he say it? And why did I keep feeling like I was missing out on something important? But it didn't take long for my questions to be answered. One day, my stepfather and my mother were invited to a wedding by the Johnson family. Theo and I stayed home. He was playing computer games, and I was cleaning up. I tripped and hit the bedside table, and the bottom fell off. Oh, shit. My mom is going to kill me. New furniture, and I broke it, I thought. When I started to fix it, I saw some papers had fallen out. Strangely, among them was a file on me, my brother, my mom, and my dad. And there was something else. There was a photo from my mom's high school yearbook. And in the picture, I saw my mom and my dad and someone else, a third person. I remember my mother telling me that 2 guys were courting her, but since the second guy was ugly and from a dysfunctional family, she chose my promising rich father. The face of the third looked familiar, and then Theo came into the room. Oh, you found a high school photo of your ancestors. Yes, by chance, but I found something else. While I was reading the documents, Theo took the photo in his hands and suddenly said, I saw it in my wallet. Who? That third one next to Mom. That's Mr. Lower. No, that's not his name. What if he changed his last name? Horror ran down my spine. We realized something was wrong, and Theo yelled, Mom. We called Mom, but she didn't pick up. We dialed Johnson's phone number through the Lower notebook, and they told us that there was no wedding, and that we must have gotten the wrong number. I immediately notified the police and warned them about a possible switched number. In Laura's locker, we found a folder with pictures of our mother. All these years, he had been watching her, taking pictures of us, of our father. My hands were shaking with fear. The car came to the house. We ran out to the police, but there was someone else at the door. Dad? Hurry up. Get in the car. I know where your mom is. There were a lot of questions in our heads, but we couldn't say a word. My father brought us to a house and hid us there and told us not to come out. I decided not to call the police yet. Theo said we should follow him in case he needed our help. We armed ourselves with pitchforks and ran towards the river. I remembered it. My mother told me that she and her classmates liked to rest there. Mom was sitting tied up by the tree, and Dad was fighting with Lore. Theo went to free Mom, and Lore spotted him. He hit him, and he fell to the ground and wanted to attack my mom, but I managed to stun him with a rock. The police came right away. The story went on for a long time after that, but it turned out that Lore was Mom's admirer, the one from high school, and he'd invented the father's crimes and had us wrapped around his finger. He had got my mother all twisted up, intimidated her with our father, and she kicked him out of the house, getting rid of Dad. He wanted to get the whole family, but then Mom started guessing. He decided to intimidate her too. Now he's sitting behind bars where he belongs. Tell me, guys, did you like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below, and don't forget to like it, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.